Bird, 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 bird. Get him. Yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy frickin' New Year. It's January 1st. I am going to go out and do my last little bit of grouse hunting today. Got a little spot by the house. I'm going to take Tagus out. If there's any birds left, they're going to be here. They're going to be down at the creek. And people who live near me, I don't want to see you show up there because I'm going to record this and release this before I get Tagus put in the truck. So I don't want to run into any of you. You know what I'm saying? If you can't tell, my wife got me a little sound card for doing the Hunting Dog Podcast trivia. So I'll be playing with this to the point of annoying. But hey, let's always get on. Let's thank our Patreon patrons first and foremost, right? You know what I'm saying? That's right. They are the reason this podcast will never, ever stop. We are starting our 8th year. That's it. And I say we, I mean me and all of you. This is the 8th year. First. In all actuality, it's the 9th year. That's how dumb I am. 8 years later, I'm still yapping and yammering and making those jokes that just make everybody laugh. And so I want to thank my Patreon patrons first. We had a great Zoom room last Thursday night. Didn't have a lot of people, didn't expect a lot of people to come in because, the holiday weekend, everyone's traveling. But we made the best of it, and we lasted 3 hours. And I think we came out of there with a lot of fun. Oh, and the Patreon patrons that were there and the ones that come in the future are going to be used as part of a beta testing for a new project I'm working on. So if that's interesting to you, I would join Hunting Dog Podcast. Yeah. On Zoom, on Patreon, yeah, just Patreon. I would do that. If not, that's fine. Just listen to it, but don't hit the skip button because I'm going to be using this sound card to the point of you're going to say, "Did you hear how stupid his intro?" Not only was it longer, it was dumber. With this sound card. So Pike Gear is our title sponsor. Well, I don't know that for a damn fact. Brent and I talked. I haven't actually signed a contract for 2023, but let's assume Pike Gear, technical clothing for the upland hunter, will be there on the top of my list of sponsors. And if not, one of the other ones will jump in. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody wants that spot. You know what I'm saying? So Onyx, this is gonna be annoying. Holy shit, Onyx Maps. You can't find a better tool to increase your outdoor recreation. I don't care if it's hunting, fishing, motocross, off-roading. I'm telling you what, give Onyx a round of applause, right, for what they've done for the hunting world, right? You know what I'm saying? Boss Shot Shells. Boss Shot Shells. Yeah. That's what you hear when people are out there goose and duck hunting or bird hunting on mandated areas where we can't use, lead shot. And when you hear those Boss Shot Shells go off across the river marsh, and then you hear, that's because they're knocking them dead. That is exactly because they're knocking them dead. And Walton's, everything, well, they have everything but the meat. You have hopefully you have some meat in the freezer. I have some meat in the freezer. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's right. It was a little bit of a joke. I don't have that much meat in the freezer. But what I do have is all the stuff I need to make really cool stuff. We're gonna do a whole bunch of cooking segments this coming year, using all the Walton's gear, from the slicers to the vacuum seals to the sausage stuffers to The washer and dryer they're coming out with. That was a joke, see? Yeah. The washer and dryer they're coming out. Of course, they're not coming out with a washer and dryer. And Gunner Kennels is now coming out with their own pickup truck that is big enough and strong enough to carry 2 Gunner Kennels. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this may be I might lose all my sponsors, but Gunner Kennels makes the only crash-tested, guaranteed, last you a lifetime, put it in your will product. In fact, they're going to send me some new winter gear. I'm going to be previewing that this week. They're going to get it to me quick. There's a new door. It goes along with the cover, and it uses only like 1/10 of your dog's body heat to keep in. I might be screwing that up, but it's supposed to be cool. It's literally in the mail, on my way. I'll do an Instagram post with that next week. Always coming up with something for Gunner Kennel. And, the food crate, well, the food crate is stuffed with Purina. Why wouldn't it be stuffed with Purina? Stuffed isn't the right word. It's filled with goodness from Purina, right? And my Garmin, I got the Garmin 550 Plus, as everybody knows. I say it all the time. And I'm not saying don't get the 200i and the Alpha 10. I'm not saying that because there's a lot more gadgets and gizmos, even the SOS button on there. But I have a small mini inReach in case my crippled old ass, falls down when I'm duck hunting. And didn't think you were going to hear that, did you? But I got the Solar Instinct watch now, okay? And I'm telling you what, game changer. Because the one thing that watch, it's not a big deal to charge a watch. I keep a charger in the truck. But I'm telling you what, that thing right now, it says I got 28 days. All I got to do is get this thing out in the sun a little bit, and I got 28 days. I don't know what else they could come up with. I do know stuff they're coming up with, but I can't talk to you about it. But until then, get yourself a Garmin and go to W Hunting Supply to get your electronic gear. Well, you can get a lot of gear from W Hunting Supply, but don't go anywhere else for your electronics because they are the #1 collar sales company for Garmin on the planet. That is no kidding. Yeah. So little round of applause for W for being a wonderful sponsor. My deck drawer system, like I said last week, I haven't taken my gun out. I'm going to pop out into the grouse woods this afternoon. I'm going to pull that gun out of its case, out of the deck drawer, and it's going to be high, dry, still. I'm not worried about it out there. I'm not worried about it in the elements. I drove my truck down dusty roads all season, and the dust doesn't even get into the drawers. Now the whole truck looks like it was in a hurricane, but that was a really bad joke. Boy, you know who needs one of these is Scott Linden. Now that's funny. I don't care what you say, because that I might send him this sound card for New Year's. My Weatherby shotgun will be used this afternoon. My 20 gauge Orion. I plan on and I only plan if I get one bird, I will be as happy as some knucklehead that names their deer and chases them all year. If I can go out on the last day available to Michigan residents with my Weatherby Orion and drop down a grouse, I will be as happy as anybody can be. And I don't know what I'm trying to find my buttons. Oh, that's the kiss button. That doesn't sound like a kiss. No, not at all. Sounds like an elk bleat. Peanut Pro Plan, like I said, been with me for 30 years. I think they're going to be with me for another 30. I don't know if I'm going to be around for another 30, but Canine athlete, wilderness athlete. My dogs, I've been using Canine Pro on Zara. She's only 5.5. She just was off. I don't know what it was. And I think, like I said last week, sometimes your dogs, everyone's like, oh, they're this is that, and their stool's loose, and they got their, dogs just go through this stuff, all the time. And people change foods. Don't change foods. Just give them a little something else for their tummy. If your dog is one of them dogs, and I hate to admit it, but Zara's one of them dogs. She just got a little fussy tummy. That's all there is to it. Yeah. In the Upland Institute, we are going into the last part of our second year, and we have helped over 800 people train their dogs. 800. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And I'll tell you what, we had one person asked us if they could have their money back. They bought it one night. They wrote us the next day and said, I want my money back. And I got on the phone and asked the person why. And he says, well, you don't use the belly band. Yeah, you don't tie the dog's e-collar around its waist. And I'm like, of course we don't. I mean, like, when you put the belly band around a dog, it looks like Helen Keller put the damn collar on the dog. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, we didn't give him his money back. I told him to go through it. I wanted to stick to the program for 3 months, and if he did not find that was a good way to train his dog, then I will gladly refund his money. But never heard back from him. You know why? Because get your dog ready for this season. Make a commitment. I've got my hands full. I've got 3 dogs to train. I'm not going to tell you about the third one yet. You'll hear about that one in about 2 months. I've got 3 dogs to train this year, and I'm going to use everything that I've learned while filming and going through the process of putting the Upland Institute together. You won't be sorry. Don't forget, Pheasant Fest is coming up. Pheasant Fest, everybody. Did you hear what I said? Pheasant Fest coming up in February. That's right. All right. I love you guys. I love you girls. And you know, I love you girls more. Oh, my God. This is going to be terrible. Speaking of ear protection, you might need ear protection to listen to this episode of the Hunting Dog Podcast. I'm with the Hardy Hunters. If you don't remember that, it's Heather. See, Heather's getting top billing now. Heather and Trent Hardy, the Hunting Hardys. What else they call you? Hardy Hunters.
Yeah,
that sounds like you're hardy, like har.
Oh, play on words.
Yeah, I think it should be the Hunting Hardys.
That's not bad either.
It's not bad. You can bend that mic just a little bit closer, but you can still get the beer in your mouth.
You've done that before.
There you go. Anyway, we're going to do a little recap. We're not really going to spend a lot of time on South Dakota or North Dakota where we were because I think we covered that.
Yeah.
Actually, did we cover it? Because Matt recorded that. That podcast never came out.
Hasn't yet.
No, that's the whole other. Well, let's do that. And then we'll get into
what we just did.
Into that terrible place you took me, grouse hunting the other day. With Matt. Anyway, so Trent and Heather and Trent, they joined me out in North Dakota this year for the opener of grouse. You guys got there for the opener, right?
Yeah, that was opening day. You were there opening day.
Yeah, I got there in the afternoon,
yeah.
But I didn't hunt.
No, we did.
You actually managed to hunt on your way from one destination to the house.
Yep.
And did what?
Yeah, we shot 3 birds that afternoon.
on a 20-mile drive coming back to the
one
house.
spot to the next.
Yeah. It was like, 40, 45 minutes?
That we walked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good right off the bat. That's better than grouse hunting in Michigan.
Oh, God, any day. Yeah. Well, today I went out grouse hunting in Michigan and heard/seen 11 rough grouse.
Did you really?
And shot at 1. So.
See, isn't that the beauty of North Dakota? At least you get to shoot at them.
Yeah. If we've seen 11 birds in North Dakota, you're going home with half
2,
of them.
3,
yeah.
Maybe, sharp tails.
Yeah.
I mean, we did pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
So you guys drove out there, and you had a little favor to do for a friend. So you would have had the whole Saturday basically if you.
Yeah, if we would have left. Well, we split it into 2 days because.
You probably lost 4 hours dropping off.
Yeah, doing a little bit of messing around, but it needed to be done. But yeah, we usually break it into 2 days driving out. Just make it 2 easy days of driving. Don't go too hard or anything, and make a nice long trip, and then nice little destination in the middle or something. And so we took 2 days to get out there. Got out there. It was like
4
o'clock in the afternoon, and we didn't get any directions. We didn't even get a go north or go south. Like it was just
knew you had to get back to our house where we were going to stay.
Well, the guys that were already hunting out there and knew the area kind of thought it was going to be like a head northeast from here. I wasn't expecting a pin, but
I would have expected a pin.
we won't go into the favor, but you guys did a really solid favor for a friend.
Right.
Yeah, but if you know that friend,
He ain't dropping pins.
and it's not a rude thing. That's
No,
just,
it's just
a thing.
Yeah,
It's just
you got to figure out yourself, and
Right.
you become a better hunter.
because
And
I would have told him to do that favor. I said, okay, I need 5 pins.
that's not a bad bargaining.
That's not.
I've never thought about that.
I
That's
think
better than
you-
money
I
sometimes,
think you missed the mark.
depending on who you're getting pins from. But
But you guys managed to, like you said, all right, we're going to get there after dark, back to where we were going to stay for the week, and you guys managed to get 3 birds
between
between there and there.
that camp and
with a
our
45-minute walk.
yeah,
And then I was like, why don't I have that kind of gear anymore? I mean, I could have walked out behind the house.
yeah,
What did I do? Start opening beer.
uh-huh.
do anything.
But I
we
waited all
probably did
year for
that
that
too,
hunt.
though. So
Yeah, we absolutely did. That's my favorite.
actually, we did the fireball as soon as we got out of the,
Did you?
Yeah.
And you got the fireball now. Heather's got her, what do they call that? With hunters, they call it aiming fluid. With Heather, they call it interview
hunt.
fluid.
Yeah, talking fluid.
Talking fluid. Give her a little fireball. She'd give the Russians the coordinates of all the missile towers in North Dakota.
I've tried it as aiming fluid too. It does work.
Do you shoot better with a little snort?
No comment.
Never. That's not a good
That's-
idea.
I mean, I don't do
Yeah,
that.
that's-
I mean,
don't do that.
Nobody does that
No.
ever.
No,
Did you guys get to the last training day at NAVDA with the shoot?
no.
no, we
I
missed
think,
it this year.
I think it was because we were headed out there, wasn't it?
Was that what it was?
Oh, you might be right.
I think so. It was right around that time anyway. But yeah, no, we usually do, and we usually bring our thrower, and then
Yeah,
somebody else brings a thrower, and
Yeah.
no, we didn't get out there this year.
Because we do have aiming fluid then, but
Yeah.
that's very regulated. We're not driving. Just no. There's a. Yeah, we'll let that go. Anyway, so you had never been. No, you'd been to North Dakota the year before because we talked about that on the last podcast. But this time, and we're hunting. Did we hunt? You found some private land, right? Because the area we're in, if it's not posted, you could hunt it. But I think we hunted mostly state
land and-
WMAs, right? Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we walked a couple pieces that were just not posted, but
Yeah, because I always just look at the layout and look at the public pieces and always like head towards a public piece that I know I can walk on, that I'll be able to have access
So
on.
you don't get disappointed.
Yeah. So okay, I'm heading here, and that's plan A.
Yeah.
But on the way there, I'm gonna take these roads and zigzag or whatever on the way up, and just keep my eyes peeled.
Right.
And if she usually can drive. She'll drive around, and I'll just tell her, which way, so I can look at fields in my
You're on
Onyx.
the Onyx Navigator,
Yep.
and then Heather's driving.
Yep. Sometimes
depends.
we both go.
My wife would make me navigate and drive. We would not be as successful.
No, we usually
no,
we usually
Minnesota.
flip-flop
I
pretty good.
navigated
Yeah.
the whole time. I
Did
don't
ya?
mind, and we like to scout. We really
Yeah.
enjoy it actually. So
But yeah, so I'm always looking while I'm headed to a destination. And if there's a piece that catches my eye, I'll just stop, look at it from the road,
That's the only state in the union you can do it.
and it's beautiful.
glorious, yeah.
It's glorious. Right?
It's the
glorious.
best thing, yeah. Because we ended up probably towards the end of the week probably hunting 50-50. We started
because
out
you did a
because
lot
we
of
started
scouting.
finding them.
Yeah.
You just drive by them, or you see huns on the side of the road, or you see birds flying in the morning or
Right.
whatever. You're like, that went into private. Let's go check the corners.
Right.
No posts. Good to go.
Yeah. I know that one spot just north of our house that had the tree rows.
Yeah.
So-
that you ended up walking
And
by
I went
yourself.
back out there. I ended up taking 3 Sharpies out of those
Oh, that's awesome.
tree rows, And that was completely private, not posted. And that was like easiest walking you could ever do. Cut bean field and just walk along a tree row. It's like I don't even have to pick my knees up.
And I'm looking at that wouldn't be my first
No.
destination to go do that.
And when I talk to Tom later, he goes, "Oh yeah, those tree rows always hold
Always
Sharpies."
hold birds. Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I found the pot."
The spot. Yeah. Yeah, that works good, especially when have limited time and you want to do one more quick one or whatever. You don't have time to scour a whole field.
Right, it's right there.
Those
off the
tree
road.
rows.
Just do it.
Yep.
I've told people on the podcast, like, out of all the hunts I've had, that's right in my top 3 or 5 hunts. Just not because of bird numbers, just because of not having to think too hard about where you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just look at something, go, oh, let's just drive 8 miles and look at what that
Grass
state-
looks
that
like, yeah.
grass looks like, or it's so. God, I don't want to hotspot it. but North Dakota is a hell of a state. We're not
Yeah.
a hot spot in where we were, but it just felt like, and I think we had the greatest plan. We had Scott with his 7-month-old, was that, or 9-month-old?
Somewhere in there,
It's
7
like
or 8.
7, yeah.
And it was
Young.
Yeah, Scout.
Or
as
No
we
Damn
call
It. No Damn It.
No Damn It. That's Scott's name for it. Then we had Matt with his older dog, which probably had just slightly more experience than No Damn It. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as being out west,
Yeah.
and not
Wide, big range.
Yeah. And then I had a new dog that needed to learn stuff, and it took him beyond the allotted time. Thank God I had 5 more days there. Can you imagine how fun I had? I had 5 days
I know.
there. Well, I got up in the morning, just made a little coffee, and
That
doing it
I'm
next year,
jealous,
too.
yeah.
I need another
Next
week
year,
of
too.
vacation from work because
But-
I would gladly spend 2 weeks out there.
But what my favorite part of that trip, or one of them, was the fact that we all just struck off on our own.
Yeah.
Matt looked at spots on maps. You and Heather looked at spots on maps. Scott went the other direction, and Fence Lane McPhail came with
Stuck
me
with
because
you.
he didn't have a dog.
Yeah. We'd all just meet in the garage in the morning and be
Right.
like, which
And-
way you heading? Northeast, south, or west?
Exactly. And then in the end, you're like, all right, I got some spots here because honestly, you and Heather walk more than we do. You're children.
Right, yeah.
You're barely old enough to vote. Well, no. All right, you're old enough to vote.
Yeah,
you're not
a
old
few
enough
times.
to be a presidential candidate.
No, not even
You have
close.
to be 35 to be the president of the United States. And neither one of you are 35. My apologies, Heather. Well, you look younger than me. Trent.
I know.
She knows. But I think that was just the best way because so many times if I'd have went out there with, let's say, one of my old group, Roof, Chip, Scott, Bill, and I'm the one with the dogs, we're all like, we're all
Yeah.
like 3 trucks following each other going. And this way we found spots all the time.
All the way around the place.
And ended up toward the end of the week going back to a spot you guys found, my favorite spot.
I know.
That's a great spot.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
I like that
we just
piece.
happened to stumble upon that one too. I mean, it's always been on my radar looking at it, and then the one day we were going to go to it, Scott's truck was parked in the one corner. I'm like, well, shit, Scott's already hunting it. So I call Scott. And I'm like, how you doing out there? And he goes, well, I jumped, a couple of sharp tails as soon as I shut the truck doors darn near. He's like right off the side of the road, and obviously every piece out there is hundreds of acres.
Yeah,
They're all
big.
huge.
Yeah.
So I went to the opposite corner and we hunted the other end of it.
Could
and-
you get in from the opposite side?
Yeah, like where we went in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went. Heather and I ended up going in up there, but Scott was down on the main road.
Oh,
it's like an
okay.
L-shaped piece.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we passed him, and he said he found sharp tails. We were like, well, screw it, we'll just go in there, and it ended up being one of the best spots we
Huns and
going
sharp tails, basically all
everywhere.
over the place.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, it was. And I mean, certainly that makes it a better trip. But I just like the fact that like we could split up because you've hunted with some people. I mean, you guys go. You just went to Minnesota this year
Yep.
with a friend of yours, a couple.
Yep.
And you did it last year to South Dakota.
This was our 3rd year doing it together.
Right. And I mean, if it's your best friends, it's like, okay. But when you get out there with just 4 guys, within a day, somebody thinks they're the captain of the ship. Mm-hmm. And then somebody goes, well, I really think we ought to go back to, it's a south wind. And we ought to. And then all of a sudden, without that input every morning, it just felt like you're just out there. And then we'd come back, see each other at noon sometimes.
Lunchtime, yeah.
Go back out. You guys would go back out to get, all the birds.
Yeah.
It was good.
If the
I
weather
do like
permitted.
that though. I mean, I like hunting with other people, but I think we're so used to being on our own. And then him and I just can split. We don't really.
Yeah,
I think
you
we're
just-
just so in a groove.
Well, when you two
He'll
go,
just disappear.
you take out both dogs, and you and Trent,
We'll just split.
you'll just
yeah.
split.
Yep.
You just know that somewhere in the back of the property or wherever you'll hook back up again.
Yeah, we both
Mm-hmm.
have Onyx, and she always has a tracker going on her Onyx, so she literally can tell where she's walked.
Yeah.
And usually we try to like start working together, but she's always running Kip, and I usually have the younger dog Whiskey, and he's grown accustomed to like if Kip finds birds, like that's all it takes is like one time for him to see Kip find birds, and then he starts paying too much attention to Kip, and he's
Right.
not hunting himself. So then I just have to text
That's
Heather.
certainly partly
I
an
got
age
split.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then I just split, go over the hill this way, and she starts going over that way, and she hears me shoot. She'll call me. I hear her shoot. I'll call her.
Have you ever missed birds because you called each other?
Yes.
Let's hear that story, Heather.
That was another piece. I think we all started walking out. We started on one corner of the
Well, this
piece.
is a completely different trip.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
This was the pheasant trip that we just
Right,
did.
but you were just telling me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they started on the other corner, and I think they kept kind of drifting over, and then he had to take off and
Because
with
Whiskey was watching Kip.
and so he kind of went over a little ridge, and then I finally split off by my. I told the other couple, I'm like, well, like they had kind of cut in on an angle. I'm like, well, there's all this over here that you guys didn't touch, so I'm just gonna turn and kind of make a loop and come back where I know Trent wasn't because he cut the other way, and Kip had been working something uphill, and I think the way the wind was blowing, he had been kind of working it for quite a ways away. And we went down, and he flushed a rooster out of some brome, popped up, shot it, went right down. I mean, it popped up right in front of me. We were in some pretty thick stuff. And then
And when I cleaned it, I know that hit it
I
good.
told him, I was like, it went down.
She pillowcased it. It had a good sized hole in the side.
I think
of
this
it.
was day 2. I wasn't messing around anymore. I hadn't shot at anything. So
Yep, it was day 2. Our first walk of day 2.
yeah. So then he instantly calls me because he knew I was like the closest one to him.
And it wasn't instantly, because I waited, because I'm like, okay,
Oh, that's
she
true.
just
Because
shot.
Kip had just come back to me with the
She
bird.
just shot. I'm
So.
gonna let her like try and find it, do whatever she's got to do, blah blah blah, and then I'll call her in a minute or two. So then I waited. I didn't do it immediately, because this might happen.
Yeah, so as soon as he calls me, I have my gun in my left hand, which is not my dominant hand, and I have my phone in my right hand, and I press speaker, and then all of a sudden, here comes another rooster like 6 feet away from me in the air. And I think I just hung up on him or whatever, but it was too late because I'm not that agile to.
It was.
And I'm not
ringing.
going to throw my phone, so we have another ordeal.
Like he did in North Dakota.
Yeah, and I think that was this. Well,
I hear myself.
I don't think I can hear you either.
I can't.
What did I do? Can you hear me?
No.
All right, let's figure this out here. Which one's Ron? Which one's Ron? There we go. Oh, there it is. I can hear you now. Okay.
I seen you messing with the dial earlier.
Well, yeah, I kind of messed
He
that
thinks he knows what he's doing.
I wish I had a sound engineer. But, and this is me kind of being the old curmudgeon uncle, going like, why would you guys call each other? But it's because you can.
Yeah, and
And then you want to know how they did.
yeah.
But that literally cost you a bird at your feet.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
mean,
just
he's
through the
being
phone.
nice because he knows, like, it was just me and Kip and everything. So he's so excited. I know that, like, wanting me to get one so bad that he's like, oh, did you get
This
it
is
or whatever? And
Minnesota pheasants.
yeah.
Yeah, just over Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving. And then I took off with Whiskey. I ended up getting a bird with just me and Whiskey as well. So then when we met back up, I had a bird and she had a bird, which I actually had 2 that morning. But I almost caught my first bird out of the air. Because we first walked into the field, she shot at one that got up, missed it. Well, then on the other side of the road was private. There was birds in the ditch over there that we didn't know. And it got up out of the ditch, but the only grass there was what we were in. So then they hooked and started coming back into the grass where they wanted to be. And I was just kind of crouched down in the grass watching the hen and a rooster fly over me. And as soon as it got over me, I just shot it. And I folded it just like a duck hunting almost, And I took like 2 or 3 steps to the side. I tried to grab it, and I touched its feet as it with my hand.
way.
Yeah.
So
I didn't quite
four
grab.
feet, like
Yeah.
4 foot reach.
Yeah. And it grazed my hand.
And if you
I
had a
didn't-
catcher's mitt on, you could.
Oh, it would have like sucked it right in. Yeah.
I've never had that with a wild bird, only with training birds.
No,
Nope,
I just
yeah.
turned around and he just had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like
just
shot.
holding
I
it up.
turned and he's just like,
And I told her later, she's like, "Oh, that's why you had it so fast." I was
yeah,
like,
that was weird.
That was easy.
yeah, beat. Thanks for missing your bird.
Let's wander back to North Dakota, just because it was one of those trips that we weren't in a hurry to get out. I mean, we were in a bit of a hurry to get out in the morning because we could, but we would still have breakfast, or we'd go back and eat breakfast later.
But they, the thing is with sharp tails is when they're feeding in the morning, they always have like a sentry bird always looking.
Right.
So like, if the weather permits, if you can hold off until
Because it can be hot.
9:30, 10, sometimes you got to do it, right as the sun's rising.
If it was blistering hot, we
Yeah.
would have been out looking for
At
birds
7 in the
on
morning.
roost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we actually got pretty
I think
pretty
we got
lucky.
really lucky on the weather.
We had one warm day and that was it. But so yeah, you want to start.
We went antiquing that day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
did.
loved that.
That was a fun.
Your 2 favorite days.
Was my second favorite day. My first one was when Tagus finally pointed
Pointed a
a
bird.
bird.
So yeah, I mean, waiting till 9:30, 10 o'clock when you can
Yeah,
tends to pay off.
same with rough grouse. Nobody wants to hunt them at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. It's they're out feeding. They're doing their first feed. But the Huns, I don't know. I'm sure the Huns. I just don't know if the Huns are. I know they're not the same bird. Though I'm not. We've only had 2 beers, but I've heard Tyler talk about that. With like he says, no point in going out till 9, 10 o'clock. Let them get back out of the fields, find them on the roost, and we did right. For some reason, maybe just because there's so many Huns when you find them, and they're always just in that ball of birds. I almost wonder if you could hunt Huns differently in the morning, but I don't know. You guys read that book while you're out there, or is it just best to wait till 10 o'clock for them too,
I think it's the same.
or 9 o'clock?
I did read that book, but I mean, we were also
We're gonna have a pop
drinking.
quiz on-
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on Huns or even sharptail hunting because I've only done it a couple of years, but I think it's the same thing. They're out feeding and moving and watching and on high alert because they're not in their safety zone. They're not in their little clutch of grass and stuff. They're going to be on the edge of some ag or in an ag field in the wide open. So it just makes sense that they're going to be visually watching and
but we've never truly tried to target Huns
No, I've
either.
never
Like they've
actually-
always just kind of been a secondary surprise,
true.
or
we just happened to have a good year out there, or we just kept,
yeah.
in your case, tripping over 2 coveys.
Yeah.
yeah, that was insane. That was really cool though. But I think that stunned me. I just kind of stood there. I was very confused.
Yeah, there's all 40 birds got up at one time.
The time I went back there and I was filming after you guys left and went back to Michigan, and I was so lucky to stay there all by myself. Remember that time? We had walked all over the place and put a small covey and a I'd say medium-sized covey up. And then we were going back to the truck, right up where we parked before. Way up by that fence line when Roof got there that day. And did you lose sound?
No, I just keep thinking that you're quiet.
Oh, really?
Just making sure we can hear you.
My levels are.
It can hear you.
Yeah. So we walked counterclockwise, like when you and I and Heather and Bill and Scott walked that. We kind of went into it, and you guys went clockwise.
How the hell do you know? You got lost.
In retrospect, I got a little panicky that day. Because why? Because Eddie hunted behind us.
Yeah, you got to walk backwards with that dog.
Eddie ran the line left to right. Problem was she was behind
On your
us
heels,
the
yeah.
whole time.
Not much help.
We decided if we turned backwards and walked backwards, we might have a
Yeah.
shot.
She did retrieve one of Scott
Yeah,
or
she
Bill's
did.
bird, didn't she?
Bill's birds, yeah.
Yeah, she's got something in her I love. I just don't know what it is yet. I'll keep feeding her. But so I went back there, and we did it counterclockwise, and we got back up within. Yeah, there was some kind of weird sound here. We got back in. We could see the trucks, and I mean, of course, you can see a truck from 600 yards. But I mean, we kind of started cresting. We're like, oh, there's the trucks. We're probably less than 200 yards from the truck, and it was sharptail popcorn, but not like 3 or 4 sharptails getting up and then waiting for the last one, because we had so many young birds this year.
Yeah.
And that was a little, you kind of wish they were older.
The Huns, yeah.
Especially the Huns.
Yeah.
Even some of the Sharpies.
Yeah, I think some of our sharptails were pretty young
Sharptails are
too.
some-
Some
of
of
them
the
were young,
Sharptails
yeah.
were young too. But we got into a spot where all of a sudden, I mean, everywhere we went, there was another single, there was no groups. And I bet you we put up 20 different sharptails in about a 1 acre, 2 acre chunk right before you got back to the truck. And one of them got I think I saw a leg drop on it. So we wanted to make an effort to go back and look for it. And I was watching this guy, one of the guys, go. I said, I don't need to walk anymore. I'm carrying a camera. And watched them walk they probably put 300 yards on. it would be about where we thought the bird should be. And I see his dog, I could see the dog on point. Is a short hair with heavy white with some spots, so you could locked up. I'm like, damn it, he found that sharp tail.
Yep.
Because we just came through here. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching.
Covey Hans.
He's around looking for a dead bird in front of his dog, and this Covey Hans just blows out behind him.
Oh,
and all
God.
you could see was the sun on their wings, like 20 of them.
Glitter.
I'm like, that was a bigger covey than the other two coveys we saw. So that was a fun spot.
Yeah, there's nothing better than them covey birds. Rough grouse are fun,
I
but
wonder if next year we're going to start flattening each other's tires so we can go to the
is that field first?
spot.
Hey,
No offense.
I found it
You
first.
found it first. I think that's yours. But yeah, that was just not just that spot, just the.
I think we hunted it twice, and then you hunted it once after we left, and it was phenomenal
I hunted it
every
once
time.
with all of us, and then I took
Yup.
those other people back and told them to meet me there. But I thought at least we'll get something on camera.
And mule deer in there like crazy. Kip pointed a bedded mule deer buck that was like 6 yards away from me. Like Matt and I about shit our pants when this thing got up next to us. And then here's Kip like pointing at the little bowl of grass where you could tell it was sitting or it was laying. Yeah, this mule deer buck just blows up next to Matt and I, and we both like stumble backwards like, holy shit, that thing was close. And then all of a sudden here's the doe, and then here's the fawn, and here's another buck, and they're all just bouncing all over the place. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that area is just amazing. So I mean, it's suffice to say that that's our annual start to our.
Oh yeah, it will be every year for the rest of my life.
I know. I don't know. Of all the places I think we've been, and I'm a tree girl, so I'm kind of surprised by it, but I like North Dakota.
Yeah.
It's good.
You like walking in the woods.
The short grass.
I do, but the short grass is really nice. I appreciate that even more after Minnesota. And there's just, you can't beat when you get to the top of one of those ridges and you just look around and
you want to go.
you just see for miles and
It's special. It's more special in South Dakota. South Dakota has the horizons to look at. But, and again, there's places in South Dakota that look like that. But generally where I hunt, it's just flat.
Yeah.
You could land a plane on any field.
And just agriculture after agriculture.
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of Minnesota too, I would say. There was a couple spots that we hit that randomly had hills that were
But mostly
I mean, that's
flat.
a pheasant.
Yeah.
That's pheasant country.
Yeah. So
Agriculture.
what we are is just, we just want a little, I don't want as much topography as you guys do.
But them birds like it.
But
Yeah.
the birds like it. Like that windy day that we hunted when the rain came in,
And the fog.
and Heather and I took the two longest shots of the whole trip.
And I had to clean up.
Okay, maybe.
And I threw my phone that time.
Yeah.
See, I would have done the same thing if I was in her shoes. I would get a new phone later.
Yeah.
I don't care.
We had two birds just light up from the top of the hill, and we knew they'd be on the lee side, or they should be,
Probably
because
because it was pretty windy. Yeah.
And sure enough, those birds got up, and Heather and I shot, and I saw both birds go down from being shot. Not like
yes,
they didn't relocate
Right.
8 feet away. They
Yeah.
went boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop. And I could tell they were not hit hard. You know, like they're floating.
They're
back
pretty
to the ground.
lively, yeah.
And then you went all the way. You were all the way to the right.
Yeah, because I was looking at my Onyx because I couldn't see shit. It was so
No.
foggy.
Oh, my God.
And our line, like we had to swing and go through this gully because if we would have kept going, we would have gotten screwed in the back corner with property lines and a lake back there.
Right.
So I knew we had to swing like right around here. And of course, while you're trying to make your move and trying to dissect where you want to go, of course, there's birds right in front of you.
Well, did we find the one and then the other one got up, or did we just? I can't remember.
how that happened. I know. When I heard you guys shoot, I was looking at Onyx and I threw my phone down on the ground and I ran up there because I seen it fluttering down and I knew it wasn't hit hard, so I wanted to get to him.
Right.
And then as I was coming up the hill, the one bird flew and like coming right at me, and I took care of that one.
Yeah.
But I think the other one was just
The other one was just in the
dead.
grass,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think you guys had gotten that one.
It might have been killed.
Yeah, that one you guys probably killed.
I think.
I think we did, yeah.
One of them was dead, but I knew none of them. Well, you never know at that distance if they're hit hard, but they didn't look like they got poofed.
No, they definitely were
It was-
not.
it
No.
was- I bet you they were 50-yard shot.
Yeah.
Up that hill.
Yeah. Well, the only reason they got up because we were yelling at you over the wind, trying to talk.
Yeah,
like,
it was really
hey,
windy
we got to
too.
turn. Like, come this way, come this way. And then obviously the birds hear you, and
Yeah, birds
we were
said,
close enough. Yeah,
These
they weren't
heathens-
hanging on.
These heathens are
Stupid.
These heathens are As Rusty says, they're calling out their coordinates.
Yeah,
Let's
we
get that
really
out of
were.
Dodge.
Yep.
But that was one of my favorite times. I mean, I know it was just me and Heather pulling our guns up, and I saw 2 birds go down. I was like,
Yeah.
that shit.
That was
You
fun.
you had to play safety.
Yep.
We had a lot of fun in that piece, though, because that was the same piece right after that Kip pointed the one and Whiskey backed him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were about ready to just come out of your.
I was happier than shit.
And
yeah.
then, was it 3 of us that shot that bird? Or
Yeah,
4?
that bird did not
At
have
least 3 of us
a
out there.
prayer.
So in sync that we didn't even realize that.
Either any of us shot.
I'm
Which,
like, wait, you shot
So like, what's
too?
worse? Like everybody getting up there, dogs. You know, the dog that found it, staunch on point, and then the young dog behind it backing it, and it's perfect scenario. Like you're in a gully, like there's a bird, and it gets up, and none of us shoot because, like, oh, I thought you were gonna shoot it. I thought you were gonna shoot it,
No,
or all 3 of us shoot at the same time.
Yeah, there was 4 of us and 3 of us shot at
Shot,
the same
yeah.
time. And that bird, to give you a visual, if you could put that bird like on a fence post and you had a rope on it, and you went, poof, that's how fast that bird hit
Went
the
down. Yeah.
That bird got hit by, let's see, at least 3 charges of shotgun shells.
All boss.
Oh, that was all boss.
Yeah, it
Hey,
was.
thanks for the boss. Appreciate that.
That stuff's nasty stuff.
I had my South Dakota trip afterwards. I did some good shooting. There was a day I couldn't hit a house if I was standing inside of it, and it was the last day. And Casey was guiding us, and she told the cook that she goes, "We'll be done by lunch." And after the first 2 walks,
She was that confident?
yeah. She goes, after the first 2 walks, she goes, "I got to call the cook. We ain't
We ain't gonna be back by
we ain't
lunch.
gonna be back till dinner the way you guys are shooting." And it's so funny, but she would not do that if she didn't know us. But she's like, "Come on, guys."
Like, get it together.
I mean, there was birds getting up in front of me, and I was poof, poof. And
What size shot were you using
I
out
went
there?
5s.
5s.
And then the last day, I probably shouldn't say this, but I threw some 7s in there. I just thought, these are not 60-yard shots.
Yeah.
And 7s can take care of a pointed pheasant.
Well, and 3-inch boss 7s.
Yeah.
That stuff is.
It's killer.
Oh, it's deadly.
And then I started going, I wonder if I should have stuck with 5. Well, it was just me missing. Just flat out missing. And it was embarrassing. So my rule was we had 3 days of terrible cold and wind, and I was probably just overleading them.
Yeah. Well,
That's my story.
overly. That's not the case,
I was
but
trying to last 3 days we've had a 40-mile-an-hour wind, so I've added 12 feet to the lead.
I'm sure.
I'm telling you, I couldn't hit a house. I hit
Yeah,
some
I have
birds,
those days too.
But I mean, I always look at if I hit 50%, that's good.
Oh, that's
shooting.
pretty good. Yeah.
And if you hit 30, 40%, that's still not bad.
Yeah.
But I bet you I was at like 20%. I'll bet you I was hitting 1 bird out of 5 or 6 shot at.
Surprised you didn't get like a semi-auto out so you could have a third
I
shot.
almost did. I almost did. If I wouldn't have let you borrow
That Weatherby. That's what Heather was
Weatherby.
using.
Yeah, I used it in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Yeah, I liked it.
Did it fit you good?
Yeah.
And we were shooting. I had a couple boxes of the 3.5 mix.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, that stuff's dirty.
Is it?
Man, it just freaking clobbers them. Those 3-inch 3.5s mix. That was
I didn't
good
even know
stuff.
They had them in 20s.
Yeah. Yep.
See, I should know that. They're my sponsor.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I was happy with that. I mean, there wasn't a time where I felt ungunned, using a 20.
I'm going to ask Heather this question, and then I'm going to ask you. So, and I've had this, as much as, like we said, North Dakota, you can't miss that. You just can't miss that early season. For one, the birds are uneducated. It's easy walk. Yeah, basically easy walking. I mean, think of it this way. Scott's got a dog that never saw a bird in his life. Scott had pointed birds. So, I mean, it's early season show. And that's why the dog trainers go there, right? These birds are, you still got to hit them.
Yeah.
But they're more cooperative. Where roosters don't cooperate.
Yeah.
So,
Especially later in the year.
so Heather, the first is to you. You came off. You were shooting pretty good in North Dakota, right? You were hitting your birds. So you think you got a limit one day, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did. I
Few
shot a
days.
double the one day, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a double. How was roosters in Minnesota compared to prairie birds in North Dakota for shooting?
Not great.
Not, Not great. Not great. I love that answer.
I think I struggled. I mean, I only shot one rooster the whole trip, the 3 days hunting actually. But we weren't killing it. Between the four of us, I think we took home 3 birds a night.
So it wasn't like you were out there like you didn't have that many opportunities.
No, and the weather had warmed up when we got there, so that everyone was like, hey, it's been great. And then they had some snow and cold, but then the birds dispersed again. I think we've seen a lot more birds than we had the prior 2 years, but we are always in different spots.
Yeah, like so the last 3 years we've
You
gone.
guys go away for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I literally just drop a pin on the map. Like, this looks like a good spot.
Right.
Like, nobody tells you go here. Nobody tells you to walk this piece. It's always, every year, it's figuring it out again with 3 days.
Which is always stacking the odds
Oh,
against you.
absolutely. Yeah. So, like, knowing what I know now in all 3 of those spots, if I went back to them, I already got my pins that say don't go here, and I got my pins that say do go here. Right. So, like, year 2, year 3, year 4, going back to the same spot, you're going to be 10 times.
Barring any weird weather
or whatever,
patches,
yeah.
Just what you learned, and that's what I've told people before, too. One of the reasons I did good in South Dakota is I went to a spot my first year that was where nobody went for opening day. But there was enough birds that after we figured it out, by year 3, we're like, oh, we know where to go.
Yeah.
Even if it's a bad year, we know where to go for, because pheasants are like prairie grouse. We've learned they could be anywhere.
Yeah, and if the weather gets bad or whatever, they'll scoot.
And
they'll
like,
leave.
On our windy day, we're like, hey, let's find the bushes. Let's find the lee side. But on a flat day that's everywhere, them birds could be anywhere. Where pheasants are definitely more targetable. I mean, you're not going to
But they run.
But the dogs, they don't like dogs. They don't like people. That's why.
And at this point, like on public land, like they've heard a door shut. They've heard a beep.
November. It's been open for over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've heard dog whistles. They've heard people yelling. And it's like you almost have to go at them like with a military mindset. Like, shut your door. Yeah, shut your door quiet. Don't talk. We're using hand signals in the field. Like, you go, what I mean? Or like, I'll point and I'll be like, foot tracks, I can see tracks. And I'll point at my boot, fingers. Like, there's tracks, or like 2 birds, and I like wave my arms, like 2 birds just got up over here, because you don't want to yell. Right. They know, there's too damn smart.
Heather, come over here.
Yeah.
We don't want to yell, but none of these hand signals have ever been predetermined, so
they're
or discussed or anything. So you're just staring at.
So
like,
they make sense in my mind.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Right. Yeah.
Like Helen Keller, like 2 syllables. Sounds like
look like baseball.
I feel like at least
30-40%
40% of the time I just stare at him and I just go, yeah, okay, and nod my head like, and just keep walking.
And even if she doesn't care or know what I mean, like at least I'm not yelling at something. But yeah, it's like almost you gotta like draw a plan in the sand, in the beginning.
And you could get away with more of that with the prairie birds. I swear.
Especially our early season.
And to call pheasants early season would be like, oh, well, all the crops are up. Yeah, they could be everywhere too. Then it is a harder deal. But were you able to, in Minnesota, say, like, look, there's no cover, but did you hit cattails? What were you hitting out there?
I mean, it was a mixture of both. Like, I'm not a fan of cattails. I don't know who is.
No, nobody.
It's not fun. You can't, like, 90% of the reason like I do bird hunt or like it is watching the dog do the work and finding the birds. Right. Like the one time where I had Whiskey by myself, he pointed and tracked and relocated like 2 or 3 times each on 2 different running hens. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't even care. I didn't get to shoot these birds. Like it was it was so much fun to be able to watch him work that scent cone and then work a running bird for the first time really that I know of for sure. I didn't care that they weren't roosters. So be able to like watch your dog do the work is like the whole reason I like going out west, because here
cattails is just a
cattails
fight.
it's like
a bar fight.
Yeah,
I'd rather that than laid over brome going the wrong way.
She don't like the grass that's like laid over.
Oh, you mean that tall grass?
Yeah, that like 4 or 5 foot laid over brome, which if you're going with it laid over, it's one thing, but if you're trying to cross it or going, like straight against it.
It feels like you got little kids in kindergarten hanging on
your feet. Yeah.
Oh my God. I got legit like
crabby. Did you get crabby?
Oh,
she gets crabby at the Grousewoods too.
Freaking pissed. pissed at one point. I think it was the last day, and it was starting to get warm, and I just had it
Well, I
with
think-
that.
And I don't believe me. You know, my degree in biology is just like my medical degree. It's non-existent. But I think you were in like CRP, like blue stem, when that gets laid over. Because brome is usually just that.
Oh yeah, it's that thicker,
It's like a
pale
light
yellow.
colored grass
Yeah.
usually, and it's like right on the edge of cattails usually.
Right, and it lays over.
Big blue stem is your like taller, like has a real nice hard stem, and it's usually tall, like and
Right.
still standing. But this is just like that lighter, light colored grass that
Like
gets laid
something
over.
you'd weave freaking baskets out of. Like,
Did you think of weaving any baskets? Still remember the term?
No, she's
light a match.
she just yeah, she just does not like.
I was with.
It's hard. Like, pheasant hunting, it seems all like handy dandy and glorious, like walking
it's-
through grass, but it's
It's not as much fun.
No.
It really is not. Physically,
it is
I'd rather
tough.
hunt grouse or I'd rather hunt prairie grouse
Yeah.
than hunt just pheasants in pheasant country.
I mean, it beats the dogs up. Like Whiskey tends to like jump over a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But Kip bulldozes through it and keeps his nose down, and so his nose will just come out just pure raw. His
Yeah.
lips will be swollen and bleeding, and
Eyelids.
are all swollen.
You look like you're
just
abusing your
just
dog.
sandpaper on his face all day. Basically, is what's going on. And
I feel bad too. Like I hate that when we're in that because like when Whiskey's trying to jump over because he's not scenting anything when he's
yeah,
know
leaping.
point
Like,
where
leaping
He's just like,
over
I
because
just
he's
gotta-
never
I just
really
gotta
on
get
the
through this.
ground.
Yeah, he's not hunting. He's
You
just
know.
trying to get through the grass.
So then I get even more irritated because I'm
Yeah.
like, this is very unproductive. We're stuck in this. The dog can't smell anything. So I'm like, why are we in this right now?
But if you stop, you're just like you're still stuck in it, so you might as well
Right.
just keep going. Like you
I
gotta
do.
get through it.
I don't ever say anything.
No.
You think it like I do.
Yeah.
See, I must
Well,
be.
here
I
we
must-
are. Like I didn't know this was gonna happen. Like I didn't plan on getting stuck in the middle of this hellhole. Like
But you get so a few years back, Roof and I, our favorite upland
comedian.
like it was just a shame that he had COVID and he couldn't get out to North Dakota till the last day. And he did.
That was the best surprise, though.
That was the best.
I think we were all
surprise.
pretty shocked.
yeah, that was
so.
fun.
But wait till you see the video and stuff Matt's been working on. Holy crap.
I'm anxious.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet either, but he's been telling me it's coming out good. Him and I went to a spot we used to go down by Corsica, which was south of White Lake. So this is like 3 years ago. Him and I just went like a reminiscent hunt. We went to the old motel that we stayed at.
Oh, really?
We knew it was low pheasant numbers, but we just went to the spots we knew.
Yep.
I said, let's go up to that one WMA up by I-90. I think it's 90, isn't it? Yeah, 90.
Yeah.
And we got in a spot right off the bat. Bravo points a bird. Bird gets up. I hit it. Bird goes down into that kind of grass. And I'm not saying he was ever the best. My wire hairs are better cripple trackers. He's never been pitiful, but I mean, I'm not going to brag on his cripple tracking. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that one of my wire hairs could have found this bird, but it was so hard for him
To get through that
to
stuff.
get through it
Yeah.
and then try to find scent and then be so
Yeah, like how can scent move through that?
right. Well, the bird is on the bottom.
Oh yeah, tucked right
tucked
underneath.
underneath, and he's just like, and you remember Bravo? He's a
Yeah,
big,
big
tall
dog. Yeah.
He could cover some ground, but when he's leaping over, like you said, they can't possibly.
Yeah,
be
they're
scented.
not able to really.
They're just like
They're just trying to get through an area.
they're
Yeah.
like in quicksand, and I always remember that as one of the cripples that I was like, gosh darn it, because we didn't have a lot of birds that year. Which some trips you don't. And I'm like, I wanted that bird so bad, and that bird just you didn't hit me hard enough. Well, that's my problem. It was my fault, but that grass. So I told Roof to go. We kind of started in two spots. We wanted to kind of pinch. We saw birds again when we slammed the door. Not thinking, we saw a whole bunch of birds
Take off.
about 200 yards away, but they only lifted and went back maybe 50, 100 yards. So we wanted to get back to that corner. The path I took was terrible, but that's all right. It's just
Just
Dave.
scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, no. The path I took was easier, even though it was terrible. But to your point, Heather, the way Rusty came in was the way the wind blew down. And he's just out there. He's like, he's holding his gun over his face. I can't get through it. And
Somebody come get me.
every step was just an effort.
Yeah.
And it took him like I'll bet you to get 100 yards to me. I'll bet you it took 5 solid minutes to walk 100 yards in that stuff.
I feel for him. And then I'm trying to keep up with 6'5" legs.
Well, everybody tries to keep up with 6'5".
And usually
It is a little
well,
advantage.
flatland I can whip on past him, but
Yeah.
I got to work pretty hard at it. But yeah, I had to stop at one point and just tell myself, like, there is only one way out, and you need to get over it.
Right? Because this sucks.
But it didn't make me any less.
And I want to be.
Because then I started thinking, I'm like, this is just unproductive. It's unproductive.
I know. I do the same thing. So I was in Iowa.
You're supposed to work smarter, not harder.
I was in Iowa hunting with some guys, and I met at a Scholastic high school shooting group. And when somebody gives me an invite, I show up. Like I called them up and said, "Hey, I'm coming through Iowa. Bought a license for 3-day license." They took me hunting for a few hours, and they took in Iowa. In this part of Iowa, it's waterways, and them waterways have that grass.
awesome.
That
Yeah.
it'd be chin high grass that's half laid over. And I'm about 20 minutes into this walk going, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. But we're seeing birds, which is enough to keep you taking a few more steps.
That helps.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that one piece where I lost it, we were not finding birds. And so we just talked about that the other day in the car about a day's hunt when you're walking and walking and walking. Like, I'm like, even if you're not shooting them, if you're flushing them or seeing them or something, it's just you have just enough hope. And I was out of it at that moment.
there was
I
no more
was
hope.
like, there's nothing here.
Hope is not a strategy anymore.
Yeah, that was on the last day, just trying to get a few last runs in. It wasn't like top of the list spot to go to, but it was one of the last ones.
But like you said, you get to it, and then you're like, well, hell, we either go right back where we came from, or we plow through it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make any fun.
No. We probably walked the most the last day, too. But, I mean, that was the nice thing compared to the other years is that the habitat was great this year. We did see
yeah,
birds.
the grass was really, really good.
You know, we had our good friends out there with us. The place we stayed was really cool. Definitely want to go back. The people who stayed there, who owned it.
It was just a little tiny mom and pop motel, and it has like their house is in the middle, and it has like 2 wings coming off from it, and like you stay in the wings, and the rooms are super small, like
old school small.
barely even fit your
It's
bed
like
in there.
someone's little up north cabin, just like a hodgepodge of crap you've brought from home and put up, you know.
But
lamp,
they're
a
so
bed.
Yes.
nice, like super nice people, and they're like, well, they can't have dogs in the rooms. We're like, that's fine. We got our kennels underneath the topper, insulated topper, and our dogs will be fine. Well, our friends, their labs, they had labs out there, and they didn't have the topper or anything like that. But they go, we got a garage that you can put your kennels in and just keep your dogs in the heated garage.
Nice.
We're like, okay, sweet. We were just expecting like an empty garage. It was like his garage.
Like
It
his
had,
man cave.
yeah, it had like all his guns, his bows, like his lawnmower, like all his stuff in it. Like he's like, yeah, come in and out whenever you want. Just like put your dogs in here. You can come and grab them. And it's like the guy just trusts. They're so trustful, and it just feels like home.
I don't know. We should probably get a microphone for Dave, but maybe he could get your headset. Put that headset on, Dave. So Dave Dean, our old hunting mentor, fly fishing, primitive bow, opinionated old bastard, just stepped into the kennel. We're having a euchre night tonight. But Dave, because I know you're older than me, you're not Methuselah, but you're older than me.
Yeah.
When was Michigan ever like the Dakotas?
50s.
Where you could literally meet that farmer that would.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, back in the 50s. And
Well,
everybody.
You're not that old.
I was born in 1950.
Okay.
I started bird hunting when I was 8 years old with my grandfather.
Right.
I got my first shotgun.
So, let's just say if you went up, let's go halfway between here and Traverse City.
No, you wouldn't have to go that far. Just go to Ravenna.
But would the farmers be that inviting?
Yeah,
if you,
sure.
Would they put you up? Would they?
Oh, no, I wouldn't go that far.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know how you go out west? Like, remember the people you've met out there?
Right,
Out
right.
in North Dakota. It's almost like, and I always say it's because it's so goddamn lonely out there. If
Yeah.
there's a new person, there's someone to talk to.
Well, it's like Bruce and myself. Bruce and me have hunted for over 30 years together.
Yeah.
We've been to Iowa, Nebraska, Montana,
Dakota.
North Dakota, South Dakota. It's all those states are still like that.
But it's almost odd, right? I mean, you would think
Well, yeah, they don't even lock the doors.
Well, I don't either. On my
Well,
truck.
that's dumb on your part because you've been robbed already.
No, I've been held up by gunpoint twice. That's a different
No,
story.
you got your wife's place got robbed.
Oh, that's true too.
Yeah. See, I'm older than you, but I got a better memory.
It's only because you quit drinking and smoking. You But so the Dakotas and let's just say west of the Mississippi, they just found us in Minnesota. Here's a guy that's like, you're hunters here.
Yeah.
Use my garage. His guns are in there. His decoys are in there.
Well, if you go to the UP, it would be the same. It's just the lower peninsulas.
Just
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
haven't spent enough time in a. When I go to the UP, I'm either camping or I got a little motel. You know, I like never knocked on a door because that's not a knock on a door kind of state.
Well, you remember, well, you don't remember, but I do. Back in the 60s, we had to take a ferry across. So there was not a lot of
Before
people.
the Big Mac,
Yeah, there was not a lot of people in the UP then.
so you could find that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s. That's,
What was your first trip west of the Mississippi? Do you remember?
Bruce and me went the first time, probably 84.
84.
Yeah.
It was like 6-7 years before I ever went that far. Yeah. Where did you go?
Iowa. And then his dad was a colonel in the Army, and he had a friend that went to Nebraska. Then we started going to Nebraska all the time.
And that's what I always heard back in those days. Like that was the place to go, right?
Oh yeah, we shot a lot of birds.
But I mean, everything was like South Dakota would have been that good, North Dakota, they all would have been that good. But that's when Nebraska was,
Well,
but still overlooked, right? Or did you see more hunters?
no,
No, it was just like
that's because you could kill pheasants in Michigan yet.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. You had pheasants here.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got here 32, 33 years ago, I mean, there was a couple wild pheasants up by the training grounds.
Right.
And
Well-
Brunswick had them. But down where you live, you know,
Well, Berkelow's the first place they put pheasants in
right,
Michigan.
there's a monument.
Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah,
first-
we tried to find that.
The
Yeah.
first released wild pheasants in Michigan.
Oh, my grandfather had a farm, which was right at Maple Island, 15 miles from here.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I could shoot all the pheasants I wanted to with just the docks and then my single-shot 410.
I got pictures of my grandpa from Holland
Yeah.
shooting all his own birds right in Holland on a piece of property that
Right.
I walk now.
Heck, our neighbor, he's like 90, 91, told us stories about shooting pheasants out at Silver Lake, like Silver Lake sand dunes. When
Really?
yeah, he used to shoot pheasants out there when he was a
They were
kid.
everywhere. It's just like grouse were everywhere.
Oh, God.
You could hunt grouse in the oak woods and kill your limit.
You didn't even have to look for shit
No,
tangle.
no.
God. Now, I remember when I
Shit
got
tangle,
here.
I like that.
Well, that's you. See, Heather and I are a little on the same page. We love it. But God, we don't want to be beat up by it. Right?
Well, it's when I was a kid. If I ever thinking about shooting a woodcock, my grandfather would take my shells away from
It's a
me.
waste of a shell.
Yeah.
It's not enough meat. It's not enough meat to eat.
You don't shoot.
Ain't wrong.
Were they always on the game bird? Like, were they always part of the limit? Or
they
when I
were-
got here, Jeff Peterman didn't shoot woodcock either.
No,
It
I
wasn't
don't
'cause-
think they were. I don't even think they were a game bird till later on.
I got to do some research on that because when I got here, these birds would get up and Jeff goes, "No, that's a woodcock.
Yeah.
We're grouse hunting."
Well, my grandpa called them bog suckers. Don't shoot them bog
Yeah,
suckers.
bog suckers and worm suckers and.
See,
what
I
it mu-
love them though. I don't know.
Well, because sometimes that's all we got. For
They
our
do
dogs.
add to the mix, but they're awfully interesting. I don't
Well,
know.
they are.
I mean,
They're
it helps
cool
that we get.
Well, they fit
A lot of
over on
contact
because
with
their
them, but-
brain's upside down too.
Yeah, and my ears are set back, and I got short little arms. I can't
Yeah.
do anything.
You got those
Little T-Rex arms.
T-Rex.
T-Rex arm.
That was the voice of Dave Dean. So
The words of wisdom.
words of wisdom, a man who's been, since the '60s. You know, you've been poking shotguns at shit.
50s.
Well, yeah, but I don't count 8 years old.
I do. I shot my first deer when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, but people went to World War II at 15 too. I mean, I get that.
Well, I went at 18, so.
It's neat to hear like this place was so.
Well, so
bitchin'.
when I was in high school, everybody had a shotgun in their back of the car because they went hunting after school.
Yeah, and I've heard that story from many people from Iowa. You don't hear it a lot. Well, you'd hear it in Michigan for sure.
We always
Well, went duck hunting after school if it was
Yeah.
duck season.
You had some spot you could just go jump something for a little bit.
Well, yeah, the Muskegon River is only 2 miles from school.
And the fact that you had even believe it or not, and I've told this story in a podcast. I think it was my junior year of high school in Bogan, in Chicago. We had to do like a demonstration of something you do, and that was like part of your grade. And I put a big poster board together with a trap field because I'd been trap shooting with Mr. Gorman and my friend Joe Gorman's dad. So I drew up a scale trap field. I brought in shotgun shells. I brought them in cut. I brought a Remington 1100 into the school. Now, we didn't ask, but I would bet that I was probably one of the few people that ever brought a shotgun into a school in Chicago in the 70s.
Probably.
But that wouldn't have been anything when you were a kid. I mean, that was just like...
Yeah, but like when I was in junior high, we had a 22 shooting club, rifle shooting
Oh,
club.
in school?
Yeah.
Well, they're bringing that back at least now.
Are they?
Well, in Minnesota they are with the scholastic shooting schools. I don't know if the kids can bring guns and put them in their locker, but I brought that Remington 1100 in a Boyd breakdown case, put it in my locker. When English class came up, I opened my locker, took that, my poster board, and my shotgun shells into clay targets, and I gave a demonstration. It was the only good grade I ever got in 4 years of high school.
It's the only day you did skip.
But no, I was not a skipper. I was not a skipper. My mom was like, she really thought education would have helped me. It turned out no.
She really thought it would have helped me.
She did. She goes, I think education's important. And she went like this, Ron, blew smoke in my face. But it is cool that we were just talking before you got here, like how Trent and Heather just found this place in Minnesota. You know, Minnesota, I don't think of Minnesota like the West, but parts of Minnesota are just...
Well, yeah.
We were darn near to South Dakota.
Yeah, you
so
were way out there. And to find this motel that just treated you like they would have treated you 50 years ago or 80 years ago. You're renting from us. You're like part of our family. Like you guys had... Who was that family that you guys stayed with, Dave, in North Dakota when I met you guys years ago and I pulled my camper out?
Oh, yeah.
Is that Terry or Bruce's?
Kramer's.
Kramer's.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have thought you guys were all related.
Oh, yeah. We got just like brothers.
I mean, you just went out there and it was, hey, Dave, hey, boo. You knew the birthdays. You had the parties. I just don't know if there's another place like that.
Well, yeah, we took all kinds of cookies and apples and blueberries. And
You guys would bring salmon.
Yep.
And
We
they'd
thought-
bring alcohol.
Yep. And we hunted and partied, and I used to get his wife drunk, and she used to walk on the wall when I gave her Southern Comfort.
I've seen you walk on the wall with Southern Comfort.
Well,
too.
you drink some wine out there you really didn't like.
Oh, that was homemade crap.
Yeah, onion wine. It tastes like
Onion.
ass.
Yeah, who would make onion wine? See, that's the other problem about being in North Dakota. Those are nice people, but they don't know dick about brewing or distilling.
now, see, our neighbors at the hotel brought out apple pie moonshine. Just some random. It was a brother and sister we met.
They were deer hunting.
Yeah, they were deer hunting, and like I said, that's the
another
people you meet. Like we met the people that were on the other side of us were staying there for years. I think they lived in Minneapolis or up in the cities, and they came down and.
But the best part of the day is when all the trucks back up
Yeah.
to the hotel and everybody's got their dogs,
Yeah,
feeding
it
water,
is.
and
That's
feeding
always-
birds, and
I mean,
how'd you do, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the best part.
So I already ended up rebooking because so we make Thanksgiving dinner every year, and we do like a ham, and we do potatoes, green bean casserole, and corn and everything. So we had like one of those 6-foot, just like
tables.
banquet
This is in
tables in our
Minnesota?
room. So we took the bath, like the shower rug that goes like right outside your shower. Well, I put that down on the table so that we didn't burn or melt it. Well, it burnt the towel. So then I called them like 2 days later because we wanted to stay there again. They were so kind, and I felt so bad. And I'm like, oh, they had blamed it on their kids. They're like, he's like, we seen that in the laundry room. We thought it was our boys. I'm like, no, it's me. I'm sorry. Can we please come back? Yeah, I was like, just charge my card. It's okay. And he was like, absolutely not. We thought our kids did it anyway. So I was like, oh.
You want to come back next year?
Yeah, so yeah, I rebooked it. I was like, well, how soon do you take?
you
Because
guys
he
will be
already
back
had
there?
reservations.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Go back to somewhere we've already been.
Which will give you that data
Tenfold,
that you're
like-
looking for.
and again, I mean, the last couple years that we've gone out, like, were droughts, and our first year in North Dakota was drought. Our first year in South Dakota was drought.
Yeah, you had some rough Thanksgiving trips.
First year to Minnesota was COVID.
Oh yeah.
So we kept having to drive to South Dakota to go to the bar, or
Because the bar's part of it.
Oh hell.
oh
All right,
yeah.
Before people start wandering in here, Dave, thanks for jumping in.
Thank you.
We one of these days, boy, I'm gonna have to put that one with an explicit rating on it. But one of these days, I'm gonna have to just have Dave in here, see if I can get him to drink one little toddy and just let it all go. Because it would be
plug.
because that should be in the archives of the Smithsonian.
What?
You've had a storied life, Dave.
Yes, I have.
You've led a storied life that
I've been dead about 7 times now.
you've been dead about. You shouldn't have lived when you were a baby. You were like 5 months premature, and somehow you lived.
I weighed 2 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have Dave come over and do that whole
Yeah,
that whole
they
episode.
told my mother to quit coming to the hospital. They tell her what I died.
All right, Trent, Heather, Dave. All right, thank you. Any closing comments, Trent?
I don't think so.
All right, well, are we gonna play euchre? Or are we just gonna bullshit?
Yeah, I've never seen a
Bullshit.
deck of cards
Probably
come out
gonna
yet.
bullshit. I've never seen a deck of cards come out yet. All right, talk to you. Love everybody. Love you guys. Love you girls. I love you. What's my new one now? It was voters. It was.
Whatever happened to I love you girls most? I was fine
I
with
love
that.
You girls. You like that one better? I
Yeah.
love you guys. Love you girls. I love you girls more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.